Have you ever wondered why the Vietnam War is such a complicated and often misunderstood part of history? For decades, it shaped global politics, tore nations apart, and left scars that are still felt today. So, what really happened? Let's break down this complex conflict in the next few minutes. The story starts long before the first American boots hit the ground. After World War II, France tried to reclaim its colony in Indochina, which included Vietnam. But a powerful nationalist movement led by Ho Chi Minh and his Viet Minh forces wanted independence. This struggle, known as the First Indochina War, ended in 1954 with a major French defeat at Dien Bien Phu. Following this, the Geneva Accords were signed. Vietnam was temporarily divided at the 17th parallel into two zones: the Communist North, led by Ho Chi Minh in Hanoi, and the anti-communist South, led by Ngo Dinh Diem in Saigon. The plan was to hold a nationwide election in 1956 to reunify the country. But that election never happened. The United States, fearing a communist victory, supported Diem in blocking it. This is where the Cold War really comes into play. The U.S. operated under the domino theory, the idea that if one country in Southeast Asia fell to communism, others would quickly follow. So, America started sending military advisors and massive amounts of financial aid to support South Vietnam against the growing communist insurgency in the South, known as the Viet Cong, who were backed by North Vietnam. By the early 1960s, the conflict was escalating. The situation came to a head in 1964 with the Gulf of Tonkin incident. An alleged attack on a U.S. destroyer gave President Lyndon B. Johnson the justification he needed to dramatically increase American military involvement. In 1965, the first official U.S. combat troops arrived, and the war began in earnest. The fighting was brutal and unlike any war America had fought before. It was a guerrilla war fought in dense jungles, rice paddies, and villages. The Viet Cong used tunnels, traps, and surprise attacks, making it nearly impossible to tell friend from foe. The U.S. responded with massive bombing campaigns like Operation Rolling Thunder and search and destroy missions, which often resulted in high civilian casualties. Back home in America, public opinion was sharply divided. For the first time, people saw the brutal realities of war on their nightly television screens. This led to a massive anti-war movement with huge protests across the country. Events like the Tet Offensive in 1968, a surprise attack by North Vietnamese and Viet Cong forces, shocked the American public. Even though it was a military failure for the communists, it showed that the war was far from over, despite what officials had been saying. Feeling the immense pressure, President Richard Nixon began a policy called Vietnamization, which aimed to transfer the fighting responsibility to the South Vietnamese army while gradually withdrawing U.S. troops. At the same time, Nixon secretly expanded the war by bombing neighboring Cambodia and Laos to disrupt enemy supply lines. Finally, in 1973, the Paris Peace Accords were signed, officially ending direct U.S. military involvement. The last American combat troops left Vietnam, but the peace didn't last. Fighting between North and South Vietnam resumed, and without American support, the South Vietnamese army couldn't hold on. On April 30th, 1975, North Vietnamese forces captured Saigon, the southern capital, and the war was over. Vietnam was reunified under communist rule. The Vietnam War left a devastating legacy. Millions of Vietnamese, both soldiers and civilians, were killed. Over 58,000 Americans lost their lives. The war caused deep political divisions in the United States and changed how Americans viewed their government and the role of their country in the world. It's a powerful reminder of the human cost of conflict and the complexities of international politics. Thanks for watching. If you found this explanation helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. See you next time.